Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is Dino Crisis for the Sony PlayStation, released by Capcom in 1999. Dino Crisis was a franchise that spawned a bunch of different sequels, and then it basically disappeared. There's a rumor that there might be a remake in the works, and if that's true, I'm all for it. At its core, Dino Crisis is Resident Evil. If you've played any of the early Resident Evil games for the PlayStation, this game plays the same. The only real difference here is the enemies. Resident Evil gives you zombies, of course, and Dino Crisis, as the title would indicate, gives you dinosaurs. In this game, you are a covert operations team member, and you are tasked with infiltrating an island to retrieve a scientist that was rumored to be dead. Apparently, he's valuable enough to kidnap, and he was hiding out here on this island for some reason, doing scientist stuff, I guess. In this case, he appears to be growing dinosaurs. The handling of this game is just like the Resident Evil games, and you should expect the same character movements with a fixed camera, and that angle is going to change depending on the room you're in. If you're a Resident Evil fan and you've not played this particular game, you're probably missing out. It's filled with the same tank controls you'd expect as Resident Evil, and these controls seem to be a little easier to handle, I think, if you're not using an analog stick. I've tried both, and honestly, I think the old school directional buttons kind of work best for me. Of course, it's up to you what you choose. In this game, you're faced with limited storage in your inventory, and of course there are dinosaurs roaming around. You probably shouldn't expect to try to kill all the dinosaurs. It would likely take too much time and ammunition. If you get good enough with the controls after a while, you'll start to get better at running and dodging, just like in Resident Evil. What's really important with the controls? It's just like Resident Evil, like I said. What's really important here is the R2 button. If you stop and press the R2 button, you will turn around 180 degrees. This is great to get out of the way of things. It really helps you get around. In this game, there are a bunch of absurd puzzles that you run into as the game progresses. Basically, the game runs like this. You have a map. There's an area that you can actually run around and navigate, a bunch of rooms and hallways. Your job is to find or do whatever it is in this area. When you do whatever that is, a door is going to open up somewhere, and now your map becomes larger. You check the new areas, you find and do something new, and then you find a way to make that map larger again, unlocking a door, whatever. It's basically you navigating through rooms and hallways as efficiently as possible and trying to stay alive while you find and solve these various puzzles. Overall, the puzzles are kind of dumb. For instance, you arrange plugs in an order, based on color, to turn on power. It just doesn't work like that in the real world, I guess the puzzles serve their purpose in this game. They prevent it from being just a run-and-gun type of an affair, and okay, I applaud that. I get it. In this game, you play the character of Regina. She's a member of the team. The first thing I noticed with Regina, besides the fairly terrible voice acting, the fact that Regina is not wearing anything that would ever be construed as tactical attire. Her arms are bare. She visually stands out. She's wearing skin-tight dominatrix outfit is what it looks like to me. If this was a covert op, I would expect full coverage in camouflage of some kind, or at least dark clothing. Here, she's exposing her arms. Skin is bright. She'd probably stand out. Really. Honestly, too, she'd probably start out a mission like this with actual equipment. Here, you have a pistol and a couple of bullets. That's it. It seems so ill-prepared. After a while, you do get a shotgun, but you do have finite ammunition in this game, so like I mentioned earlier, you're going to need to get decent at running around and avoiding dinosaurs. You're going to find keycards, you're going to find plugs, and these will help you open various doors or storage containers, and there are also some upgrade parts that you can find that will increase the effectiveness of your weapons. You can also find tranquilizer darts. These will put dinos to sleep for a while too. These are definitely useful. It's probably better to put them to sleep than to try to kill them. It actually takes less ammo. For me, with this game, I think that they have some easy wins that they enabled in this game. Little things that the developers did to try to make the game work better. To hide the loading times between rooms, just like in Resident Evil, you get a door. It's a door and there's an opening animation. The door's going to open. It's this little 5-second clip to just fill the space while the game loads. In this game, you actually see your character Regina walk through the door, or maybe climb stairs. In the early Resident Evil games, you just saw the door open. Here you get the character as well, which is great. Also, if you're hurt, your animation will reflect this. You will limp through a door. I think that's pretty awesome. It's also nice to see some dinosaur behavior in this game. Maybe you enter a hall and there's a dinosaur sleeping on the floor. He'll get up as you walk near, of course, but that's great. And also, in some cases, if you dart into a nearby room, the dinosaur might follow you. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen in some places, and when it does, it's pretty good. Some places also, a dinosaur might bang on a door to get in. I think that's particularly effective, because the game is relatively silent. A lot of the horror elements of this game, I think, they're reflective of a really quiet environment. Mostly it's you just hearing your feet clicking along the floor as you walk around. Sometimes some creepy music starts when you enter an area. Usually that's when a dinosaur shows up. All I know is that it's unnerving, and it works. When you get knocked down by a dinosaur, if they get up close to you, I find myself button mashing to try to get back up to my feet. I don't even think the controls work this way, but when I get knocked down, I get really keyed up. I mean, I'm about to get eaten, right? So I'm trying to hurry up, so I'm mashing the buttons. Your character will slowly get to her feet. It's so slow, it's almost funny. When I think of a game, any game with dinosaurs, I think it's pretty common and most people would assume there's going to have to be an encounter with a Tyrannosaurus Rex at some point, right? Yes, there is. It's big, and you're going to encounter it a few times in this game. It's also important to note that this game doesn't give you a memory when it comes to passcodes that you find. I know some games, they'll give you something in the game, like a journal. When you uncover information, it gets written in the journal. You can open the journal later to reference information. This one doesn't do that. You can't reread things on screen if they're not right in front of you. So I suggest you keep a pen and paper with you and write down information as you stumble on it. Information like access codes. Remember this the first time you run into a lock and you can't open it because it's asking for a passcode that you can't remember. There are some other cool things about this game too. When you die, the animation isn't just you dead on the floor. The animation might be a dinosaur walking around your corpse or even multiple dinosaurs right before they eat you. I think it's a nice addition to just seeing your body there. Another thing, if you get smacked down by a dinosaur, there's a possibility you drop your gun and you're going to have to pick it up as you try to run away. When that happens, the game's probably getting pretty intense too. It's a really nice mechanic to include. Like Resident Evil, if you beat this game, you can unlock a bunch of different things. Mostly, I look for different costumes, but there are ways to get unlimited ammunition, stuff like that. It really depends on how fast you beat the game and how many health items you utilize. There's a threshold for these types of ratings. They're online somewhere. I have to say, this is a pretty great game from Capcom, especially if you like Resident Evil. It's fun running around dodging dinosaurs, just trying to figure out how to get off the island. It does get easier if you play and keep track of the codes and you start to memorize the levels, of course. Once you know where you're headed, the tasks are going to become easier. Well, that's all I have today for Dino Crisis for the PlayStation. Thanks for giving this one a watch, and I'll catch you on another video.